Police jury notice, public meeting, agenda, special session, Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, 9 a.m. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge and the prayer. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father,
Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our trespasses,
as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
First line of business on our agenda this morning is consideration to remove the restriction for operation tax passage on the $2 million allocation for the Grand Lake Recreation Center project. Sure we want to have some discussion on that topic.
I'm the one that kind of brought this up, but I know that unfortunately we lost 2 board members this week, and I think it was a misunderstanding, but it's something that I've been in discussion with them about that issue for probably 4 or 5 years, way before I was a police jury member. And the 2 that resigned were asking us for $7 million, basically $5 million plus the FEMA money, which I don't think is even close to doable today. So what I'd offered them was to try to come and make a motion to take, and I did, up until just a couple of weeks ago, I didn't realize the restriction on the money and actually why they had to pass the tax. But now, if you read the minutes from that meeting, there were 2 restrictions on there. One was that they had to pass a maintenance tax in order to get it, and the other was to, if there was an emergency of some sort, then they had to give the money back. Now, I'm not sure how they do it. If they already got the money, how they give the money back. So that's a little bit confusing. But the long and the short of it is I'm asking to remove that restriction so they can at least get the 2 and do it through a means of doing a bond. That way we don't have to fork the money out all at one time. People, for some reason or other, there was a Facebook post done Friday, which I'm very, very disappointed in the one that wrote it. And some of the talks and topics that came up is that they're pretty much saying that the police jury's not doing what's financially right, and they should have had that rec center there all the time. What are they doing with that $2 million? Where is it at? Where's all the interest money? Which is basically a lie. It's not just misinformation, it was lying, because they knew better than that. So anyway, we lost those 2 members, and I hate to do it. They're both friends of mine. But with that said, is there anybody else that has any discussion?
Yeah, I got a couple questions.
Okay.
Now, what is the plans for the rec? What do y'all plan on doing?
Well, from what I understand, we can't be the ones making the plans, and we can't. And that was another misconception of the meeting where I tried to get that added to the agenda, was that we were going to do that and then force them to do what we wanted to do, and that was far from the truth. The fact is that I wanted to get the money released so that they could make a decision on whether they could do something with the money that they had allotted to them, and not the whole big scheme that they had to pay. And look, I don't have a problem with the big plan. The problem is that we really don't have the money. We really don't have the money to give them the $2 million other than doing it through a bond. And that's why I suggest doing it through a bond so we can spread it out over a 10-year period versus trying to shuck it all out at one time. And I know there's arguments that, hey, we got that OEP and the community center built up there for us, which was before my time, and I didn't realize that. I thought that the OEP thing was something that was done off of a FEMA grant. I had no clue that was, so I got educated on that the last couple of weeks. But, so, what we're doing is taking money that's in the general funds from the parish, that's paid for in taxes by the whole parish, and giving it to them. And you know, the fact was, is when those motions were made, the odds were that they were never going to pass. but what it did was, is gave them false hope that they were gonna get that money. And everybody's thought all this time that that money's been sitting there and nothing's been done because nobody gave them the money to do it. And the reason they couldn't give them the money to do it is because it's got a stipulation on it that they had to pass a maintenance tax to get it done. So the whole community up there's been misled or not educated enough to understand why that money was never allocated. I know that FEMA's allotted, what, 2.2 million, Katie? So, and that's, and you know, just talking to Kayla about it, a lot of people think that we have more money than we actually do because the parish's finances are done on an accrual basis. So accrual shows money that you may or may, that you probably haven't gotten yet. It could be anywhere from insurance money to FEMA money. So it showed that we have that in our balances, but we do not have that money in the balances. Cash basis, and I see she's given us a report on the actual cash balances, and that's what we have to work on, because until some of this LNG money comes in and everybody thinks that we're filthy rich, we're not. And it's gonna be it's gonna be difficult for the next year or two, at least till 2027, I think taxes start picking up. So it's gonna pick up, but it's not gonna be as much as it's gonna be in 28, 29, and so forth, as things come online. But in the meanwhile, we have to watch every penny we have, and we were elected as police jury members to be financially responsible with our money. And as far as I'm concerned, we're gonna do that. I'm just one person, but that's what we're gonna do. The problem with this rec deal is that they've been without a rec since 2020. 220. So that's been 6 years basically. And they've been promised and promised and promised and haven't gotten anything. And nobody's ever explained to them why they haven't had something. So now what I would like to do is after we get through the discussion, is try to pull that restriction off there, so, and put the ball in their court to do what we can with the money that they have. I know that they can start with the FEMA money. My problem is with the FEMA money is how fast do we actually get reimbursed for it. So if they started on 2.2 million and the bill started coming in, then the jury's got to fork out the money to pay for it until FEMA reimburses them, which could, I'm not sure what the time frame on that is, and nobody does, do they? It's kind of like getting an insurance bill paid on a medical bill. You don't know what's going to get paid and what's not. So so if we had $2 million that was done on a bond that was available, and what I'm going to propose is that bond money is controlled by the parish. So as they do their project and those bills come in, then we pay them. And I think it'd just be a cleaner deal. So I'm not sure exactly how. I know there's gonna be at least two new board members, chosen, and.
I guess the question I'm asking, you understand about the finance and how it came about, but are we gonna be fixing the old, what we had already, or are we gonna build a different one?
The one that's in place is irreparable.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and we're wanting to give $2 million to the board, and we have no idea what they're gonna do with it. I think they should have.
Well, that's why we're gonna control the money.
Now, the original money was given for a larger rec, with the stipulation that because it was gonna be a larger rec, and they wanted this and they wanted that, there was a lot of things that they wanted. It was gonna cost a lot more money to operate. So they said, well, we don't mind helping you get that deal. Okay, that's a no-brainer. But we don't feel like the general fund ought to operate. And that's where the stipulation came in. So we're talking about giving the money that we had for the larger rec to do the smaller rec, or to rebuild what they had. And that's a little bit different. I don't have a problem fixing it now, if that's what y'all wanna do, but that doesn't need to take that $2 million aside. We can bond the money to give them money up front to work and be reimbursed through FEMA. And then at some point in time, address how we go up with the extra monies to build a bigger rec. I mean, that was the plan all along, so.
And that's the way that I see it. This money is not to operate it. They do have an operating budget, and I'm not positive, but I think they maybe have as much as $500,000 possibly. That's that, but I'm not real sure. I've asked him a couple of times and really couldn't get a straight answer out of him what was what. And I guarantee you they know, but I couldn't get a straight answer out of them of exactly what that number was. But they roughly, they bring in, I think, between $115,000 and $120,000 a year. The problem with that money is, and that's a problem with our area, and there's about over half the parishes in the same situation. Because of our assessments, that's gonna be the amount of money that they're gonna collect virtually forever unless something else is built up there. So if you got $115,000 or $120,000 a day, your purchasing power 10 years from now is gonna be the purchasing power of about $80,000 a day on our money today. So you're actually gonna be losing money every year, even though you're collecting the same amount. You're gonna be, so that is gonna be a problem. But in theory, the parish is gonna be able to collect more taxes in some shape, form, or fashion, and how we reconfigure those. And that's one of the reasons why I keep encouraging all the board members to start looking at our taxes and how we're gonna be able to adjust them and be able to make things work for everything. You know, so there's gonna be some things that are gonna start getting really fat with money, even parish-wide boards. And I was told Mark Abraham actually brought that up, and that's, Tom may have some insight to that, but he said that they're like on tax renewals, if on certain, most taxes, that's for that entity. So he's telling me that there's a possibility that you can say, if it's a rec board, that rec board says, we're proposing tag millage of four mills, say for instance. But if we get to a certain level of comfort, you know, with their budget and what they have in reserves, that instead of rolling taxes back, that excess money could go elsewhere. But I think you have to specify where it goes.
Is that gonna take some legislation to be changed, or?
No, it's gonna take tax renewals to have it changed. So when you, so I don't know if you could, and I guess possibly you could, but there you go again, I'm not an attorney at all. But, the fact is, I think you could probably run another rec tax or another drainage board tax or whatever, and in that tax, possibly say we need this much millage, but once we get to that certain level, that excess money could be used for whatever. You know, and then you specify what that would be, whether it was general funds or whether it was to help the other districts out or whatever it was. But there you go again, that's why we're wanting, at the next meeting, we're wanting to hire somebody to, school us on that and give us exactly how, what we can do.
Again, goes back to my original question. Are we fixing the old one back? If that's what we're doing, and we know what we're doing, and committing money to it, I'm good with that.
Ultimately, Sonny, to try to answer that, our agenda was to release the $2 million allocated to the rec, and it's up to the board to decide what they do with that. They had a plan. It was just unfortunately something that we probably financially should not, you know, we can't get involved with. But if we could release the $2 million to them and they could get started on something, a separate plan. And look, this is not the end. It could be planned out to where this could be added on to with future money. If we have future money, you could add whatever you like, but ultimately it's up to the board to decide what exactly they fix or put back or demo and replace. It's ultimately up to them. We just wanted to try to get that stipulation taken off of that way that they could have that $2 million to start working with.
I thought we were gonna be doing that in-house, helping them in-house somehow. with it.
They're gonna have to come up with a plan as a board, and then we're gonna in-house pay the bills as they submit the bills. So they're not taking the $2 million bond money and putting it in their account and spending it as we. They're gonna have to come up with a plan on rebuilding, and as they do that, then as the construction goes along and we pay those bills as they go along. We're not just giving them, carte blanche on just putting money in an account and sitting there for another 4 years.
But I'm getting a little bit confused because we have $2 million sitting there with a restriction on it. And then we talked about a $2 million bond. Are we doing both of those or are we doing one of those? Because if that's the case, then we don't need to.
This bond,
We're doing a bond, we
is
don't
in
need to
lieu
take
of
the restriction off, we go ahead and give them the $2 million, in
We
the
don't,
bond.
we don't have
and-
$2
and
million to give them.
The bond.
Yeah,
Go with
that's
the-
why we would do it through the bond, but they're not getting a $2 million bond and $2 million, no, sir.
Okay. Well, it's kind of strange because why are we taking the restriction off? I mean, if we're.
We're taking the restriction off, but
So
we're
we-
gonna fund the money that we're taking the restriction off through a bond versus through, because I know that we have, there's evidently maybe $1 million in one account that's earmarked for that, but the long and short of it, and that's where it goes back to the cash accrual and the cash, basis accounting, because is that state law that we have to go accrual? Is that what you told me? Or that's just how we do our bookkeeping? On a cash accrual? But is that just because we choose to do that, or that's the way it's gotta be done? Which is no big deal, it's just that people need to see the difference between cash accrual and cash, what you actually have in cash.
It's a law.
I thought you told me that, but I hate to put you on the spot.
No, you're
I
good.
know I do that all the time, but
No, you're good. It's a law.
I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it and trying to get everybody on the same page, that what we show we have in accounts is not necessarily what we have in accounts.
Understand.
So there's a huge difference in a lot of cases in cash and accrual, the number that you're looking at.
Right.
So people look at our cash accrual numbers and think, man, they got all this money in the world, they can do everything under the sun, but that's not a fact. And it's real misleading when you first look at some of the budgets and look at some of the spreadsheets that we have more money than we actually have on hand. And you may or may not get all your insurance money, all your FEMA money or whatever. And, and that was one of the stipulations on there also, was in case of an emergency. And I never even thought about that, but Kayla brought that up to me whenever COVID hit, what a hardship that put on the police jury because of additional expenses and stuff. And that's an emergency you would have never in a million years thought of. So, what's next? So it's possible that something like that could happen.
And again, I guess, going back to the thing, and without the board being here, I just wanna know if they're gonna be using that money to rebuild the existing facility. If they are, I'm ready to move forward with you guys. If they're not, I'm just at loss as for what we're doing with the money. I mean,
Well, the intentions are, is to take the stipulation off, and they come to us with a plan, but what I would envision, we can't force them what to do. But what I envision them doing is putting the pool on the 4,000 square foot building back, and of course they had that, and then they had that little house there. So I'm not sure exactly what the cost of that is, to think that we can get that done for $2 million, give or take.
if they commit to that, I can
That,
along with it.
that's what I would like to see happen, and I think maybe that the way that I presented it in the last meeting, it may have appeared that I was gonna say, hey, here's the, we're gonna do that, but we can't, that's not what I meant. My intentions was to say, hey, here's the money, this is all we can give now, do what you can with that money.
Hey, guys, not to interrupt y'all, I do spot a board member. Would you wanna talk about this topic a little bit?
I'll be willing to answer any questions.
You want to come up here just so
Yeah.
if we got any questions, because the problem is lack of communication, and without both parties here, because at the end of the day, this is the simple fact of it all. From what I'm hearing, nobody on this jury knows what is to come. So we're talking $2 million. We're going to take $2 million and throw it at a problem, and we don't understand the solution of where we're going to be. If we're going to fix what we had before, I'm sure they can change the PW back to fixing what was there, and utilizing that, and hopefully what it takes, Katie, to change a PW, because from my understanding, they got it to build a bigger, new, luxurious facility.
No, that is not what they got. The PW4.
Okay.
PW4, on the screen, those are your line items. You had two buildings. You had your workout room, your community center building, your pool, and your playground. That is what's obligated. Everything is to replace, not repair.
Okay.
Except for the pool. The pool is the only one that's written that you have to repair what's there. Everything else is demo and build a brand new one up to what
was there before?
Right, so it's gonna be like the same square footage, but it's gonna be brought up to code. And your total obligation is the 2.1 million. Your non-federal share is what the rec district would be responsible for paying, that 10% out of their operating funds. So I understand, I appreciate kind of what you guys are talking about, the 2 million, you wanna know what it's for. You could possibly give authority to negotiate a CEA for the 2 million and put stipulations in the CEA that it's only funded to fund work that's eligible in your PW. That would be a way to ensure that your 2 million you're bonding is going toward your project and not just sitting in an operating account earning interest.
So I appreciate that. So now knowing the PW is for replacement, if the board decides to replace it, they got a FEMA PW that's there that'll pay for everything but 10%. And if I'd have to guess, they have the money to cover the 10%, or if not, the jury. I'm glad to help any way possible. But before we start throwing money at it, we need to understand the route we're going to take. So with that being said, if the board wants to go with the new big facility, okay, let's hear a game plan. I hear the bonds. I hear how we getting there. What I haven't heard was on a $7 million building, how much is the insurance going to be a year? How much is the salaries in that? Now that comes into where Mr. Sonny's talking. The people would have to vote in a tax to do that. There's multiple ways we could do this. There's all kind of different places we can go to get funding or try to get funding. But until we come together and discuss and know a clear route forward, it is premature to start throwing $2 million around and hoping it sticks somewhere.
So with that said, Mark, Mr. Howard walked up. Let's pretend that this is voted today, $2 million sitting in your lap tomorrow, just for theory here. What's your plan?
Just to clarify, is that $2 million plus the $2 million of FEMA with a total of $4.1 million?
Is that what y'all have intention?
Yes. I don't believe the 2.2 or 1 or 2.1 or 2.2 can be paid back to us. I think that belongs to y'all.
Yes. So what my thought process was is because FEMA could take a while to reimburse, is give them the 2 million, which they should be able to do most of that with, and then when FEMA repays it, allow them to use the other 2 million to do the other enhancement they're wanting to do up to $4.1 million.
Exactly. Yes.
So it'd be given 2 million, and the FEMA money is y'all's. That's not us to do anything with. So it won't be to fund the project and get them started.
That's not to
be reimbursed.
That's not to be reimbursed back to us for that bond. That's not.
So you want me to, is there like specific questions you want?
Yeah.
So if those funds was sitting in your lap as the board today, and I know y'all are in a little bit of resignations and all that, but if that money was sitting in your lap, what is your plan moving forward?
This $4.1 million given to us, we haven't really made a foundational plan moving forward with that money. We don't, again, our original idea was a $5 million bond on top of the 2.1 to be a total of $7.1 million. Moving forward with possibly bond issues doing that for. But as far as 4.1, we would again have to move forward with what we have. The problem, our reservations is like what Sam covered a little bit earlier, is can we build with the perspective of adding on to that and making the most of the property that we have. And if we do only replace, is the cost down the road gonna be substantially higher to make that process more difficult? And I'll just be honest with you, I echo the sentiment of Tremaine. We don't want that. I'll just be honest with you, that's my personal opinion from being on the rec is we don't want our budget to be 4.1. We want it to be at least a $7.1 million project moving forward so we can build as much as we can now and then in phases, if that will be, to add on into the future.
So on a $7 million building, what's your insurance gonna be a year estimated?
We haven't we haven't gotten that far in the process.
So y'all want $7 million and y'all ain't crossed the road of what it's gonna cost the board to
Well,
run it?
so
Just say insurance, Katie, $7 million, how much insurance? We bound to have a building in the parish somewhere that's close to that.
It would be not there. It's not a flood zone, so their insurance is gonna be a little bit cheaper than probably something in Johnson Bayou or Hackberry or Cameron Rec.
Cause from my understanding, what is your tax, what is the tax ad valorem right now y'all get every year?
300,000 or 400,000 would be a decent ballpark figure.
Yeah.
Probably what you'd be thinking.
Around 300,000.
So if we can, if y'all know for a fact, roughly estimated, cause we're talking about a multi-million-dollar building, multi-million-dollar funds. Nobody, I know if Mark Daigle was building it for himself, I would've done got the insurance and everything, even if the money was given to me. Oh, it's free, but what it's gonna cost? That's where my hard time is if you can't afford to do it with the taxes, and then it goes into, if y'all truly wanna build the thing, put it on a tax ballot and see if the people support the maintenance tax of it. And then if
Well,
not,
that would be the prospective options, as if we were to get that, we would have to pass a maintenance tax increase
Yeah.
for that project. But we haven't been able to go anywhere. We've just been going around in circles. And it's not our fault, it's not your fault, it's just together with FEMA, the timing and everything that's going on, we've been in a standstill. And like I said, I want to present just as honest as I can with you, because I think y'all deserve that and y'all will give that to us, is that we're fearing that there's going to be a Band-Aid putting over a much serious problem, and we're gonna be stuck with just replacing what's there, a swimming pool and a metal building, which cannot adequately meet the needs of our community and the size of our households and our kids. And it will continue to not meet that purpose and like it was before, and it won't be used because it doesn't meet the needs of our community. And our fear as a board is if we do make a temporary fix, the cheapest fix, which I understand the times we're living in, then it's going to create a future problem for us that we cannot fix and we cannot add on to. And like I said, you're putting me on the spot with insurance, and I understand that we will be prepared if we come and sit down, whether that be at a public hearing or in a future meeting. We will do our due diligence to make sure that what we have moving forward, if a budget, will be prepared to answer those tax questions and what will need to be moving forward with a maintenance increase. But our fear is that without forward thinking, we're gonna be stuck with what we have.
correct. And listen, you said, you get those monies and you need a tax, you'll run a tax. This money been sitting here for, I don't know how many years now. If a tax was passed, it would have got sent to y'all or allocated to y'all as soon as pending the tax pass. But regardless of that, I believe Miss Wendy Harrington some years ago gave a quote on the insurance of $77,000. So that's not too bad. And then I'm sure you're staffing probably for a year, probably maybe 100, 200, depending on how many lifeguards or whatever, and probably not even close to that, because the Creo pool used to just run off of staffing with a $40,000 allocation of taxes a year. So we just need to find all the moving parts, find the best way to execute it, look at everything before we just throw money at something.
And that's completely sensible, and we understand that. I just wanted to kind of come here today to present, our feelings and even answer some questions.
And Mr. Howerton made a great point. If you fix the current facility you have, it doesn't meet your future needs, you just probably doubled your staffing if you got 2 locations, because you got to have both of them staffed correctly. So
What you mean by 2 locations?
if you keep the existing location and you don't have room to
Oh, I
expand,
see.
and you have to build down the road,
Exactly.
they both have to be staffed.
Yeah, we've been handcuffed by FEMA. We're handcuffed by a lot of things, and moving forward, we want to put as much as we can out of a flood zone as possible. So that would be closer to the highway, and all future phase 2 options can be put in outside structures going further north into that flood zone. So we were trying to get as much as we can into that non-flood zone area as possible concerning structures. and your swimming pool, and then parking lot and maybe external courts, or walking, whatever is down the road in the future. But there are a couple of key things that we would like to focus on, like an indoor facility, like a weight room, and like a swimming pool would probably be considered a phase 1 project for us.
So in the past 2 years, because the only way we're going to get to the end of the road ain't just throwing $2 million to y'all, because clearly that don't sound like enough.
Correct.
So to me, that don't solve the problem.
Correct.
And then going back to what we had before does not solve the problem at hand with the majority. You know, how many residents live in that area? So in the past 2 years, how many meetings did the rec board themselves have with the jury to come up, being, you know, once we start putting funds in it, we can't tell the board what to do, but we need to be in constant communication, bouncing ideas off each other to where we know exactly what's going on and what we're doing. Because to me, it sounds like today, if we vote for this $2 million and write you a check today and hand it to you, you still can't accomplish what you want to accomplish.
No, sir. I think it would be a waste.
So to me, that's a waste of time. We need to find the real problem with the real solution and what's really needed, and then that's when we find, once we get that under control, we can get to the financial part and where to get it from and how to get it.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Daigle, I can't speak to previous interactions between the rec board and,
Yes, sir.
and the police jury, but I will commend that you have now 3 people who are on the rec board in our district who are willing to open up these communications, willing to work, willing to seek multiple avenues to get
Correct.
the project completed, sensible and meeting the needs of our community, and also looking forward to expansion of, you know, what can we use. And like I said, I only want to present honesty. There are a lot of people who are ignorant on both sides of the issue, these keyboard warriors who don't quite understand what's going on the police jury side and on the rec board side. And I think what we're doing today can be the start of moving forward to a solution that best is financially sensible and also meets the needs of our community. So.
Correct. Because look, I know on my behalf and my voice is, my dad's whole family's from Grand Lake. We're one parish. I made a living off of all of Cameron Parish, building house mounds, stuff like that. So we're here to help. They got this mindset of, oh, Creo gets this, Cameron gets that. Look, we're fortunate enough to work within our means and stuff like that, but it's not that we're not going to do anything for Grand Lake, help Grand Lake. We want to help Grand Lake, but it's hard to do when the board wants a go, the jurors wants another go, the people want another go. It's time for us all to come together in one room and make heads or tails of it. And look, if we can't achieve it realistically because of funds or whatever, and we can't occur them, unfortunately, we're going to have to go another route. But we got to see if we could even get to a resolution, all be on the same board and try to go to that goal. If we hit a dead end, we'll pivot and do a plan B, C, D,
yes, sir.
whatever we need to do.
You know, with the 4.1 that's projected, at the end of the day, and like I said, this is not something we want, but we are willing to move forward with accomplishing as much as we can with what we're given.
Correct.
And this is just my suggestion, and if I was looking at my board in Hackberry, I'd tell them the same thing. I think we, along with y'all, work for the people.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is to put a plan together, put it in front of the people, because it's like Mark said, there's no point in building something if you can't take care of it. And I think that the jury as a whole here, and I probably might be speaking out of line, I don't think so. I think we all want to see you have a building there. And I think we all want to help you get that building there, even if it is your dream come true to get your building. What we don't want is build something that we can't maintain, can't keep up, can't, keep staffed. That's what we don't want.
Yes, sir. And we originally drew up some plans, which some of you probably are aware of. That was kind of an inspiration of previous police juries saying, hey, kind of shoot for the moon to see what you would all want. And that was just something we put together through K&M as a basic plan to engage talking and communication. There's not anything on our plans that is set in stone other than just to engage the community on what their ideas are, what we want, what we can have, what is sensible, what is not. And so I think moving forward, there is a foundation that's set of what we think we want, but moving forward, we're going to do the best we can with what we have.
Yeah, I'd like to.
And what
I'd like to
my
say one thing.
suggestion would
Like,
be is that you get that design,
and get in.
then you get that O&M cost.
Right.
And when you get that O&M cost, don't shoot for the moon on the design and then shoot for the ground on O&M cost. Shoot for the moon on O&M cost too. That way you have that, you put that in front of the people. If the people supports that O&M cost, guess what they support? They support that full-blown rec center.
Yeah, and
So-
and when I say shoot for the moon, I'm a little standoffish against certain terminology like extravagant, the Taj Mahal, building everything we can. That's not our goal. Our goal is sufficiency and meeting the needs of our community. Yes, it looked grandiose on a general plan, but we just, in a sense, want what other people have in our community, and not necessarily on that grandiose scheme. Or I want to caution y'all against using terms that say that we're trying to go beyond, and like the words extravagant. That's not our goal. As a rec board, we want to provide certain facilities and be financially responsible. So I want to eliminate any kind of confusion that we're going to try to build something that's beyond the scope of what we can handle, both financially and what it looks like and all that stuff. So.
All right,
I think that's
I got
more
one
of a
question here.
discussion for
Let
you
me
people.
let me interrupt here.
Yes, sir.
The one thing that we're forgetting here, we're talking about what we have, what we're gonna have, what we want to have. The whole thing is for the children.
Yes, sir.
What do the children get right now? For the last 6 years, they've had nothing. We got to get something moving for the kids, okay? And that's one of the reasons that I support kind of what he said, is that we'd like to see something going, and then as we add on, that's fine. But to wait,
fear is-
I mean, we may be waiting 10 more years maybe before we get all this ironed out.
Our fear is with that goal in mind, and yes, we want our kids to have the best of everything that we can, but does that lock us into future enhancements in the future? I'll be honest with you, the swimming pool is great. It's a financial hardship. It's not something that we should focus on first, because the cost of operating a pool are heavy and are burdensome. So we need to have something also available to set off these costs, some facilities that our community could rent or use to help us in that grand scheme of things, in my opinion.
You're not gonna get enough offset from rental or use.
It's not,
It's-
I'm not talking about
it's
offset
gonna be
to pay, I'm
insignificant.
talking about, the idea of a swimming pool and focusing on that for our kids is one thing, but that is what, a 2.5-month operational facility that our kids can use during the summer months only. And like I said, we want that. We want playgrounds, a splash, all these things that we could possibly look to. But our fear is if we lock into a swimming pool now, that's going to constrict our future growth and expansion.
I think your biggest problem with the size facility that was projected is it goes right back to tax. Do you know what your Avalon taxes are today?
No, sir. I'm
They're between $115,000 and $120,000. So if we're talking about that scale of it, and look, I've asked Thomas and Tremaine that both to give me estimates on insurance, electricity, personnel needed, what your hard costs are gonna be. And when you go to the bank with a business plan of any shape, form, or fashion, all that data has to be in there to get the money. And basically, we're working as the bank to give you that money, so we need to know how, because the government as a whole in a lot of cases builds all these facilities and they totally forget that they got operation costs. So they get the facility built and then they gotta try to do something to figure out how to pay the operation costs. And look, we'd love to see exactly what you like to have. But I just, in my mind, from a business perspective, I can't see how we can fund it and maintain it. Mainly maintain it, because you can get it all you want to if you can't maintain it. So if you're getting 120 and you need 300, you're gonna have to more than double the tax that you're already collecting. And that hadn't even been addressed yet.
Well, that's another handcuff. Our tax base is not comparable to other parts.
No, sir, it's not.
So that's something that we have to take into account as well.
So what I asked Thomas and Tremaine both was, let's get what we can afford to do today, and then as we have time, either restructure taxes or there's gonna be taxes that can be, and that's why I kind of brought that up. I don't know if you were in there when I was talking about that being able to have a tax and then after they get in excess that they can put it into something else. So there's some other, there's possibly some options, but it's not today. And in the meanwhile, we've gone 6, 7 years without anything at all for that community, and that community deserves something. What is it? What can we afford? And hopefully for $4.2 million, you can come up with something and be able to fund the maintenance and staffing of it until that happens.
I think, Mr. Wendell, that's a valid concern, and I think as Grand Lake, Big Lake, Sweet Lake communities, we have to hold our communities accountable. If we're going to dream at a certain number, then we'll have to base that upon the community's ability to pass a maintenance increase. We have to take that responsibility. That's on us. We understand that. But there's a lot of numbers that we need to run and crunch and talk together to see what that number is. Is it 4.1? Can we afford that? Is it 7.1?
It's gonna be hard to sell that tax with nothing being there for that long, cause now the big
That's the
thing on the
circle that we're
Facebook
finding
board is,
ourselves in.
well, it's difficult for me not to make comments on
I'm
there.
just like this, when you say stuff like that, I'm in handcuffs because, well, what we now have is a temporary workout facility where we have 100 people who are monthly members that
It
use
costs
that.
$42,000
Yes, sir.
a year, almost a third of your budget.
I heard 300-something thousand and 120-115. What do they get a year in allocation for the Grand Lake Rec? Can you give me
From the
that?
Avalon taxes?
Yes, ma'am.
So roughly 115, 100.
Okay, so this is the reality. The reality is the rec board wants to build something that they cannot afford and that they don't have money for. So y'all are working outside of the means and building the Taj Mahal. At $77,000, and I'm a numbers guy because I clearly can't spell or write, but I'm a numbers guy. And with that number you getting every year and want to build a $7 million facility, the rec board is not being financial stewards of the parish because somebody else is gonna have to pay for it. So my opinion to the rec board, knowing those numbers, is build what y'all could afford now, and if the people in the rec board truly want something bigger and better, pass a tax. Because right now, this is the reality. We can't afford giving $2 million out. Last year we gave $900,000 and then a bridge come up for $700,000, and we was all nervous how we was going to pay for this bridge if it wasn't for us doing it in house. So when we're talking $2 million this year, I think everybody's forgetting the burden we had last year. So that's where we're at our financial state.
And what I'm proposing is more than likely not gonna even be close to, we're gonna get a majority to get you to get it, but we're gonna have a lot of no votes on that, and they have valid reasons for having no votes. The reason I'm on board with it is because I think it's been misdirected or misinterpreted of exactly what that $2 million was, including to me, because I had no clue up until about a month ago, maybe not even that, the last police jury meetings when they gave me those minutes and I read them, and it's like, this is why they haven't got the $2 million. So, I mean, I'm sticking my neck way out on the line to ask these guys to vote to take those restrictions off and give you a total of 4.2. We're pushing the outside edge of the envelope on that, and you still, even at the 4.2, haven't explained to me, because on the 120, I think if you got the 2 million and replaced what you had, I think with that 115, 120 that you get a year, that you can support it. But you start going into the 4.2 or even into the 7, and you're doing it based on we're going to try to pass a tax, so you're going to end up with a facility that's either going to have to be shut down until you get it, or back some of the services off, or whatever. But with the FEMA money, if you get the FEMA, whatever the FEMA money replaced, it's going to have to be insured.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Katie, on this FEMA money, they can only replace what they had according to what that paper says, correct?
Currently, yes.
Okay,
Now,
so even if they wanted a 10,000 square foot building, if it only has a 5,000 square foot building, that's all they can build. Or what
It'd have to
happens?
be another PW because they are deviating from building what they had, and that goes with you lose probably a percentage of those fundings if you build something different. And
if you submit for an improved project, they're gonna cap it, and you have to come out.
And the
of
reason
pocket.
I'm saying that, if FEMA will only help you fix back what you had, fix it back, and then let's come back to this table with you guys and figure out how to get to the point B, the next place you want to be, the better deal. How do we build it better? But if they're going to cut you $2 million right off the bat because you're going to be building something outside the scope, then it really kind of defeats the purpose.
Something's better than nothing, in my opinion.
And when you talk about needs, we're fixing to come up on hurricane season, which none of us like talking about. And we can't forecast what that's gonna look like for our funding either. I mean, and I will say, Wendell is spot on. There is gonna be some no votes here, but it's not no votes to Grand Lake. We all wanna help Grand Lake. Every one of us wants to help Grand Lake. But we also gotta make sure that our farm's taken care of parish-wide, you know? We got roads to measure, we got drainage. Well, a couple of us asked for tractors at $100,000 and we knocked that off the budget. Why? Because we couldn't afford it. It's not that we don't want to help. We just don't have the money. I mean, and hopefully that's all gonna change. And I will correct you. You said that we put something in place and that's the way it's gonna be. I can't promise you that I'll be here after 27, but if I am, I promise you, Grand Lake will not be forgotten. I mean, we are one parish and we're gonna work together. And I don't know a single person that's gonna look at the Grand Lake kids and tell them they don't deserve an indoor basketball court.
That's right.
We all do. We all deserve it. Every kid in this parish deserves an indoor basketball court. So,
Just look at my district. I went to VG, and I think Michael helped me on it. I secured, it's gonna be around $60,000 to $90,000 to restripe a road. That is the police jury's main concern with road and bridge. That's our main concern right out the gate.
Safety.
Is that, building ordinances and that, because that's what we control. As a rec board, your main concern with your budget and your funding, regardless if y'all got less taxes than somebody else, that's y'all's concern how to run a budget. Now, when we get all of our stuff and concerns and safety under control, that's where we would love to help. But last meeting, I just got VG to pay for something in my district, and that wasn't even close to 100,000 because there's a lot of roads need striping and gets overlooked because we can't afford it, and that's a safety issue.
and we
So-
are grateful for our industries. I mean, our industries will help, and we just gotta start those conversations.
Yes, sir, and like I said, I just kinda gave you what our direction and opinions were. At the end of the day, we're gonna do what we can with what we got. It's not like we're going to, say, hey, we have to move forward. So it's not like, what I'm trying to say is we're gonna do the best we can with what we got, and
Absolutely.
we wanna rally our community to the possibilities and also the financial responsibilities of the burdens of doing something more or bigger, and the taxes and the insurance and the tax renewals or tax increases. I think as a community, we have to step up and take responsibility, and if that means, moving forward with tax renewal increases, that's the burden that we're gonna carry.
Correct.
I do think in the future, as y'all have alluded to already, that down the road, the money's gonna be double or triple, and like I said, I don't know anything about that. And I just, moving forward together, I think we need to be very careful about how we start and how we shape this project so we can add on, so we can move forward to do what we can to make the most out of what property we have. Like I said, I think from our previous board's intentions is to take this opportunity, as poorly timed as the world we live in may be right now, is to take this time to, with the future insight, is to get the most we can for the money that we're allotted, and that's essentially how we will move forward. We will make the most we can with the money that is given to us.
Well, the issue you have right here again is lack of communication, because it sounds like the board wants what they want, and that's it.
Oh, well,
No, hold on. I'm speaking.
We want what we want.
And then they got some jurors that want what they want, and that's it. But this is the problem. We're not sitting in one room together making the hard things. You tell us what y'all say. The board tells whoever's in the room what they want, and if it's unrealistically available or we can't do it, it needs to be said to where that's off the table. There's no more dreaming about it. For 2 years, nobody sat in the same room. Everybody's dreaming and hoping for the moon. And the fact of the matter is, it sounds just like a dream to me until we all sit in one room and start pulling out what are not a what if, because it's a no. And then we could get to where, hey, this is where we land. Unfortunately, we didn't want to. Maybe it's smaller, maybe it's bigger. But nobody's having that hard conversation and just being factual and honest. And I hear you. We'd love for that. but we cannot do it. Period. In the story. Let's try to pivot and do something different. That's what needs to be going on at this moment, I think.
I'd like to say something on that. You know, I have absolutely zero reservations about our rec board. These guys, especially Mr. Howerton and a few new appointees, I look up to and take their word and their credit for being good stewards in the community. I mean, these guys, we are gonna have to replace a couple seats, but I have the utmost faith with this board moving forward that they're gonna work with us, and we're gonna work together, not with us, but work together. We're gonna work with them to come up with something for the community. Speaking as a juror financially, it doesn't make sense on a larger scale project at this time because finances, and I understand that. But speaking as a resident of the Grand Lake District, I want exactly what Chris wants. I want the best facility that we can get. I want the most options that we can get for our money. And we also have to, you know, I'd like the board to recognize that, you know, us as jurors have to stay neutral, because I can talk to 50 people and they're gonna tell me they want a pool more than anything else. And I can talk to 50 others and say they want a gym more than the pool. So I have to kind of stay neutral and go with the board, and I apologize for not making as many rec boards meetings as I could. Unfortunately, having 2 jobs now limits me, but I would love to work with the rec board with the money that we have to get what we can financially afford at this time, with the intention of adding on, progressing in the future if we have that future money. And I just wanna say thank you for coming, Chris, to talk to us, because your perspective means a lot to me. And I will be helping with anything in the future. And I would like to see, and the goal was to get this $2 million allocated to y'all so that we can start something, and that's just something we just need to work forward and go get.
On behalf of the jury, thank you, Chris. Thank you for your time, effort, and most of all, thank you for coming today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
With all that said, I want to make a motion to consider removing the restriction of the operating tax passage on the $2 million allocated for the Grand Lake Recreation Center project.
Okay, Mr. Wendell made a motion.
But
Second.
does that come with a plan, like Mr. Sonny had talked about? Comes with underneath the RPW, is what you're saying?
Right.
I'll second.
Mr. Ronald seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call. Starting Sonny.
Yay.
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 Nay.
Nay.
Yay.
Motion passed.
Okay, now I want to make a motion to consider the bonding of the $2 million Grand Lake Recreation Center allocation fund to the scope of work of the project. Mary, do we need to add on there, and I think that's what Sam was talking about, was making sure that that money's gonna be allocated as they submit, as they come up with a plan and start to submit bids on the construction project.
Y'all wanna put the stipulations on there that they have to come up with a plan before y'all start releasing it?
Well, yeah, well,
I mean, it can be whatever y'all want it to be.
we really need to.
One more question.
So, do y'all wanna enter into a CEA with them with those stipulations?
How does that
One-
need to be?
One more question. If the 4.2, the 2 million allocated, and the 2.1, 2.2 from FEMA gets us more than the project worksheet describes, that would have to come with a maintenance tax, wouldn't it? and it would have to be an added, we would have to pass a maintenance
we get
tax.
to
if we
what
build
point?
If we build something, if that dollar amount gets us more that we can't maintain with our taxes as stands.
That's why you make a stipulation to approve the plans.
And the plan should include hard cost after the project's done. So we're gonna need to see some sort of an estimate of what insurance, electricity,
So you wanna see
utilities.
that before y'all make this motion, or do you wanna make it with certain stipulations?
I think that's depending what they build, Sam. If with that money, say they do build an indoor gym in front of there, I'm not sure indoor gym requires a whole lot of maintenance money.
But it does insurance
But
and
they-
utilities.
Yes, insurance.
So you need insurance, utilities, you need.
Take the
hard-
stipulation
Y'all
off and
wanna
put the
table
stipulation back on.
motion Until they get a scope of work and.
It just sounds like it's gonna end up being the same motion to make sure that they're not getting money and building something we can't afford to maintain in Grand Lake. That's just my opinion.
I'd like the motion to have an addition that we have some sort of a plan and some sort of estimates on the hard cost prior to funding.
Does that have to be in a different motion?
So, you wanna consider bonding the 2 million, do you wanna just table that until you get your hard cost? Or you wanna go ahead and make that motion to do that?
We don't actually need to get the 2 million until they come up with a plan. There's no reason to get the bond until we have a plan and how it's gonna be spent, do
So
we?
then you would table,
So are you making a
And-
motion to
and-
table the bond?
I guess my question would be, cause I'm kinda confused, is it to see what they're building or to see if they can afford it with the taxes they get?
that's.
Well,
they
the
make
$2 million, in theory, the $2 million, if they replace what they had, they should have the money to maintain.
Really what you need to do is table item 4 until you actually get hard paperwork in your hand to where you can say, okay, we're gonna bond this money now, because we know y'all can afford to do this. We know we're good with what y'all are
The
doing.
$2 million in theory,
Because if you don't wanna bond it before you see that paperwork, it doesn't do any good to make a motion to bond it today.
what I'm scared of is not the $2 million, because they have the money in their Avalon taxes to be able to maintain that $2 million worth of facility. My concern comes into when FEMA gives the 2.1 and that's replaced, so they have a total of 4.1 to spend, that they have enough money to maintain the $4.1 million worth of infrastructure, not.
Okay, but that's.
Katie, is that allocated? The FEMA
It's
PW?
allocated.
So
Hey.
they already got it, they just
Hey.
gotta spend it.
No,
Is that correct?
Eddie,
don't
clear
have it.
this
It's
up.
obligated, but you
Obligated?
need a time extension.
Correct.
I'll just, okay,
Go
look,
ahead.
this is kind of going around in circles. Nothing can happen with this, no matter what you do or the rec board does, until they actually procure an architectural firm and design it. And you get a hard timeline on construction and bidding it out. So that's the first thing that the Grand Lake Rec Board needs to do, or you if you want to take over the project. But someone needs to get an architect involved and design the project.
The fact of the matter is,
Nothing else can happen without that.
they're not moving forward with a build without our approval anyhow, right?
They can.
if
They have full authority to hire an architect.
Yeah, but as far as
Forward.
once it gets bid out, because the issue is they don't even know what they're building, and then we're here trying to make a motion on something. We don't even know what it's to build, and then we don't even know if we want them to build that once they do get it drawed up, because they may not afford it, so.
You gave them
I'm
the
just
2 million. Let them meet. Let them hire an architect.
Okay.
Start designing it. In the meantime, they do have an option. They could submit for an improved project to see if FEMA will give them a time extension and do an improved project, which would let them combine all the buildings into like one and maybe do a new gym and stuff. Now it's going to cap it. They're not going to get the full $2.1 million to build it. They're going to need your $2 million. But there are some other options on the table if they want to do an improved project.
Okay,
It's going to require all $2 million of your obligation, and you already
So with
removed the
that said,
restrictions. So I
there
think
are-
you've done everything you need to do.
Okay.
The ball's in their court. let them meet with their new board members and make make their plan, and when they're ready for the money, then you can,
Okay,
you can
since
meet
we
to
already
bond it.
passed the motion to take off the restrictions,
It's done.
we need to pass the motion, I want to make a motion to consider the bond of the $2 million Grand Lakes Rec Center to fund the scope of the work, of the project worksheet. And that is because if we pull the restriction off and we don't add that to it, then we're gonna have to pull it out of general funds all at one time possibly if we don't change that. And then we'll go through all the details of exactly what they come up with a plan and how they wanna proceed from here.
Yes, you can give
So that's my
authority,
motion.
okay, to bond it
And,
at the appropriate time.
Can we bond 2.3 million and me and Sonny get a tractor?
I'll second it.
I don't know,
Is
Rob.
that possible? You got a question? Is that possible?
Is it possible?
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible. You can borrow money
Get
to
all
buy it.
yeses on that.
You'd have to make a motion and get the vote.
Mr. President, can I just interject?
Huh?
Mr. President, that wasn't on the agenda.
May I interject?
No,
Second.
At your March meeting, I've invited LCPA, which is a agency in Baton Rouge that helps public bodies with bond and financing. They help the school board with their $40 million bond issuance. They help the port with their bond issuance, and they'll come here to help you if you choose. That's, what, 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks? So there'll be a gentleman here to talk about public financing, bonding, things of that sort. Also, Matt Kern, who I've spoken to you about, works with Jones Walker, will be here, or someone on his behalf will be here to answer questions about taxes consolidation. So someone will be here, so come with all your questions. The public world out there, on March 9th, we'll have people here to answer questions about consolidation, bonds, taxes, whatever, beyond what I'm able to provide in that expertise. Mr. Kern and his firm will not technically represent you, but he'll be here to answer questions through the LCDA, because DCA will help you with your bonding. But I hear you're asking a lot of questions, and I think some of you are accurate in your assumptions about bonding, and some things you said aren't accurate. For instance, if y'all wanted to do a bond, issue a bond, or vote on a bond today, technically we'd have to paper it up and get it right for your next meeting, because you gotta give notices to the public, you gotta publish, you gotta send to your state senator, your state rep, notice what you're about to do. So y'all aren't even in a position to approve a bond today, even if you wanted to. And I didn't wanna get into all that, but we would fix that for you if you chose to do it. But I'm just saying, on March 9th at 10 o'clock, someone will be here to answer all these questions for you, give you some idea of, for instance, just take Grand Lake for example. They need $7 million to do what they want. They got $2 million with FEMA, assuming that they could repurpose that, do whatever they do. I don't know about it, but they would need $5 million to get their project done. Let's assume everybody agreed that $5 million was appropriate. Someone will be here on March 9th to tell you, what is that $5 million going to cost you a year? Because you're going to have to fund it, because they don't have the revenue or the tax base to fund that $5 million. And that's going to cost you about $650,000 a year in your interest, in your debt service. That's your note. I mean, and the kind of money, and I'm not promoting or not in favor or against. I don't know what Grand Lake wants. I've heard different things. Aside from that, $650,000 a year can be a drop in the bucket 2 years from now. January of 2028, your general fund's going to double. You'll receive revenue in January of 2028 about 4.7 million, where right now you're getting 2 million. So when you're talking about $650,000 in the future, and then the year after that it's going to be double, it's going to be about 9 million. So, and then it's going to get up to 12 million. So when you're planning things, $650,000 for a $5 million bond it's all a lot of money. But in the scheme of revenue that you're about to be receiving and other things, it's doable. But I'm not sure that's what the board wants. The rec board wants that, but I've heard people in the community say they don't want it.
Ad valorem tax won't increase in Grand Lake at that time unless we do a consolidation.
They'll be here on March 9th to answer all those questions. I'm gonna tell you, consolidation is gonna be difficult at best to accomplish, and I'm just looking for alternatives, and I have those ideas and thoughts, but, I just tell you that, March 9th, you know, Facebook world, come with all your questions, concerns about consolidation, bonding, taxes, could somebody be here to answer those questions for you? So,
Tom,
yes.
I'm not put you on the spot, but I know that there's a lot of questions that we ask that you're either not schooled on the tax and stuff, and you have to pass it on to somebody else. And then we get this current guy that's been selling us bonds, and all of a sudden now he can't work for us because he's got a conflict of interest. So it seems like with attorneys that every attorney has some reason why they can't do something, whether it's reelection or whether it's
Yeah. So for
working for another
instance-
firm. How do we get good counseling?
So I know the concepts enough to have a conversation. When it comes to executing, I would want somebody that specializes to execute the bond issuance or the consolidation. But the concepts I understand, so I can direct you, and then y'all make those policies. So for instance, if you decided to borrow money for whatever reason, and you went through the LCDA, Matt Kern would technically be the bond attorney working, he would be the transactional lawyer, so he would be involved. But on March 9th, I expect to have some names for you that are tax experts like Mr. Kern, that you can, so that if you want to hire someone that is a tax expert, then you can retain counsel for that special counsel for that purpose.
And you're gonna find one that's not gonna get pressure from some outside source to change their mind and decide that they can't do it for us.
I would hope that person
I mean, that-
commit, no, if that person's gonna commit to us, they would commit to us. There's plenty of lawyers in the state, I think, that have that capacity.
But wasn't Matt committed to us just until recently?
Well, he never committed to us. I was trying to get him to commit to us, because I know he's capable.
Guys, for the sake of time.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Ronald's got one more question real quick. and let's
So,
just
Mr.
start
Tom,
moving.
if I understood right, you're saying we cannot vote to consider doing a bond today?
Well, no, you can vote on it, but I'd have to come back to you next
right.
month.
I understand it has to
with
be
official paperwork.
advertised.
You can commit to the concept that, hey, we wanna do it, hey, council, go paper it up for us, and I'm gonna come back to you next month with something similar on, and you go, well, we already did this. I'm gonna say, well, you voted to do it, now I've gotta do it officially.
Okay,
And there's just some official things that have to be done.
okay.
You'd just be you'd be redoing it, just so there's no
We
confusion.
will be doing consideration
You
today.
you can commit to doing it today, we would just have to paper it up, advertise it, for a future.
With that said, before I vote to do a bond, I'd wanna see some hard numbers. We'd have to know what we're bonding for. We won't just bond for so much money and just hand it to somebody. You need to know what you're bonding for.
Well, that's kind of the stipulation.
Right.
On $2 million.
So if we have something with hard numbers, well, as far as I know, they don't have drawings, they don't have estimates, they don't have any of that stuff yet. So how are we gonna get, how do we get to that point to where we can bond?
The problem is now is that we've pulled the restrictions off of that. So now, basically, we've got it funded after they've given us a plan of what they're gonna spend the money for. So if we don't do the motion on the bonds, then we're gonna have to bond it out that we have available now versus.
Well, we took the restrictions off the money, but the money's still in the thing. We didn't hand it to them.
No.
And we're not gonna hand it to them. I wouldn't
But
vote to
if-
hand
but
it to them until we have a plan. If we have a plan that we can support and show the people and say, we're paying for X, then I'm good to go forward.
Well, Sonny, I call this smoke and mirrors because we took the stipulation off of it to allow the board to do what they want, but at the same time, I'm hearing, well, hold on. If it costs this much, how are they gonna do it? And if they can't afford it, I don't know if we wanna give it, so.
No, that's
what it sounds like.
That's not what the meaning is. The meaning is that the 2 million is basically get them back to where they were, which they have the tax base in theory to pay for that.
Okay, so let's move on. We got 4.
No,
Somebody, is there a motion on the table?
okay, so number 4 is a motion to bond $2 million with the stipulation that the police jury approves all scope of work. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, that's a motion by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Ronald. All in favor? Roll call.
Throw that in. No. I'm curious, we want to bond without knowing what we're bonding for. Is that what we're saying?
Bad business.
That's what they're
That's
saying.
what they're saying.
So,
I can't go with that. I mean, I don't mind bonding at a point, but I don't know if we're ready to bond at this moment, so I have to say no.
okay, Sunday,
Yes.
no.
Mine's a nay because we're putting the cart before the horse.
Yay.
Yay.
Motion passed. Okay, number 5, consideration of resolution in support of House Bills number 5, number 7 in the 2026 legislative session.
All right, guys, I asked y'all for that support. I've given the bills out. I have copies here if you want to. There are some other bills that we need to pay attention to. Most of them are all in line with these two bills, but they have to do with the giving the parish more authority to have a say in what goes on when it comes to CO2 pipelines, CCS injections, and things of that nature. And so I'm asking you for a resolution to support these bills, and if you would like to read them, I got them right here. I make that motion.
Second.
Question.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Sonny, do you know how our representative, has he talked about this in Mr. Boyak?
I would think you would have to ask Mr. Boyak that
Okay.
question. I don't want to speak for him, nor do I know exactly
I didn't know
what
if you
his
talked to him.
official stance is.
Thank you.
Mr. Sonny makes a motion, Sam seconds.
I got one question. real
Okay,
quick.
go ahead, Ms. Wendell.
Consideration of the resolution of the support is just a resolution to support it. That doesn't make a difference on how it's voted on. I mean, or could sway.
It's got to come out of committee, hit the main floor and be voted on. So we're putting these out while it's in committee so that they can be ready in committee, so that they say they have local parishes support on these bills. Okay? It gives them a little bit more oomph to get it out of committee to get to the floor.
And I haven't read that, but that's what it says. It's just giving us more input.
No, it's a little bit more deeper than that. We already had what our governor called significant input, which means we really didn't have no say to say we could stop it or not, if we choose to. Here's what this one does: gives you the authority to either yourself, this board, or the people. If it can be pushed to a vote of the people, and then the people would say what they want or don't want in their parish. That's what it says.
The people should have rights.
Yes, the people should have rights.
Okay,
Okay.
motion by Mr. Sonny, second by Sam. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passed. Number 6, letter to LDH clarifying the parish's authority to exempt service buildings for RV parks.
I want to clarify on that a little bit and let the public into why we even had to do a letter in that. Mr. JT Primo come to me about some LDH requirements on the septic, specifically 125, 250. We had a lot of uncertainty and from my understanding, in my opinion, it cost them $10,000. In the last week and a half, I had over 12 other people with RVs coming, stating the same thing, that it's 250, and then they're saying y'all go to 150, all these laws or regulations changing or ordinance, and I'm like, no sir, nothing's been changed. So with that being said, we had to send out a letter because they're trying to say we're not following their rules as they were written. So we're gonna go ahead and follow their rule, but in the meantime, I'm gonna be pulling all the permits and that and checking for all the RV parks across the parish. So I just wanted to publicly state that. But if Miss Katie wants to go into any detail on the letter,
Ms. Katie, Ms. Robin, anybody
want
wants
to read the letter maybe, or?
I mean, we can read the letter, but.
Yeah, go ahead, that way the
basically
public's aware of it.
said- Okay. I don't have my glasses on.
Got
Can you see? Mary's gonna read it for the record.
Thank you.
Louisiana Department of Health. Ty Heyman, Region 5 Sanitarian Director. Service building requirements and local exemption authority. Dear Mr. Hayman, the Cameron Parish Police Jury submits this letter to clarify the parish's authority and position regarding the application and enforcement of service building requirements for RV parks, travel trailers, and mobile home parks within Cameron Parish. Cameron Parish complies with the Louisiana adopted 2021 International Plumbing Code, including Louisiana added section 1602 service buildings and Louisiana added section 1602.1 service buildings for independent travel trailers. These sections establish the general requirements for service buildings in applicable developments. Additionally, the code provides a specific local exemption which states, temporary 6-month travel trailers residing in mobile home parks and/or where more than one travel trailer resides for the purpose of employment and/or hardships may be exempted by local jurisdiction building official from section 1602.1. Pursuant to this provision, the Cameron Parish Police Jury, through its designated local jurisdiction building official, is exercising its authority to exempt qualifying service buildings from the requirements of section 1602.1 when the conditions outlined in the exceptions are met. This includes temporary travel trailers placed for employment-related needs or hardship circumstances for the duration not exceeding 6 months. These exemptions are granted on a case-by-case basis and are intended to address local conditions and temporary housing needs while remaining consistent with the intent of the state sanitary code. Please consider this letter as formal notice of the Cameron Parish Police Jury's compliance with section 1602 and 1602.1, as well as its lawful exercise of exemption authority expressly provided in the code. Should LDH require additional documentation or wish to discuss this matter further, the police jury welcomes continued coordination. Thank you for your attention and cooperation. Sincerely, Michael Fuel, President, Cameron Parish Police Jury.
And again, just to kind of clarify, it talks about wash houses, but it's specifically meaning the 125 gallons per day for if you a worker in the RV or anything, unless you're a resident, then it's 250. That is where the initial problem is and continues to be a problem from my understanding. So for anybody watching out there with RVs, is you not living in them, from my understandings, it should be 125 unless you're doing something out of the ordinary, if I'm not mistaken. And 250 if you're living in them as a residence full time. That's all I got.
Is that the staff's understanding as well?
Yes, and our CBO has requested that we require an affidavit stating from the RV park owner stating that it is for workforce housing and temporary and seasonal use, so that way we'll have it on file.
And also probably not dry camping or something. I think that's where, I think that's a great idea.
Sounds good. Okay, get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mark makes a motion.
Second.
Sonny seconds, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion passed. Number 7, motion granting president authority to sign resolution granting authority to administrator to submit physical 2025-2026 LGAP and CWEF application and sign all relevant documents. Shall the application be funded?
Move. Close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. That's quick, guys. Number 8, letter of no objection to privatization of the Cameron Ferry.
I move.
I'll second it.
I move again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, number 9.
Number 9, accept the resignation of Byron Gibbs and appoint Ashley Karen Moore as Constable, Ward 6.
Move.
Mr. Sunday makes a motion.
I'll second it with sending Mr. Byron Gibbs a letter of appreciation, please, ma'am.
Thank you. Mark seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
The question on that though, wasn't he also the justice of the peace?
Yeah, she clarified that earlier. That's actually the state's responsibility.
They
to
were
backfill.
able to appoint somebody? Okay.
Correct.
We have to issue, we have to issue any names or, no?
Nope, not for the justice.
No, they do justices, we do constables.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion?
Motion by Mark, second by Sam. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned, meeting.